anyway, he sent me the license disc. We did a background check, and unfortunately, our suspicion was correct, and it seems like the cops are not going to give him the car back. So it's a reality. This happens on Facebook Marketplace all the time. It's like taking candy from a baby. It's literally that easy to get caught. The reason why people don't know about it is there's not a lot of information that's been shared out there on how to identify it, how the crime actually works, and how to prevent it from happening. So this is not going to be a very popular live. It's a boring one that saves you or makes you money if you're a dealership, but nevertheless, it's important. We're committed, and we will give you the best. I'm just going to switch over to my presentation so I can see what else is showing at the back, but I'm going to dive straight into it. We're giving this educational campaign free of charge to anybody that's interested in stolen and cloned vehicles. There are approximately 250,000 of those roaming around South Africa, posing as the original car whilst being a stolen car. We're going to dive into the educational campaign. The structure will be as follows: how vehicle cloning works step by step. We're going to explain it from start to finish until you get caught and lose your money. Why cloned vehicles look perfectly legitimate. As the gentleman on last week's live, his car was legitimate. He actually managed to put it through the test, put it on his name, and use the vehicle. He didn't know he was driving around with a stolen car. He used it for many, many months. The vehicle started giving problems, so he kept on dumping money into the vehicle. There was no recourse because he bought it on Facebook Marketplace. So as the car broke, he fixed, ended up dumping about 40 grand into the car, and eventually he's like, no, I'm tapping out of this thing. I don't want it anymore. I'm going to sell it off to a dealer. The dealership plugged in the OB and picked up that the VIN number on the license disc, the chassis number, and the actual VIN number on the ECU mismatched. That's when the alarm bells went off, and they said, sorry dude, we're not buying this car. We unfortunately can't do anything with this vehicle as the two numbers are not matching and not aligned, so we're going to have to send you away. He reached out, we processed the car together, I pulled the DNA of the vehicle, and unfortunately, it didn't go well for him on this round. I advised him, you can carry on driving the vehicle, market it on Facebook Marketplace, and catch someone else. It doesn't sound like you're the type of person that would actually like to do that. It's not in your nature. You're a nice person. What's my other option, Uncle B? I said, you need to be brave. Take it to the impound. Ask them to have a look at this vehicle deeply. Uncover all the numbers under the mats, safety belts under the seats, etc. Pull the boot mat open. Look at the data dot under a microscope and check what you actually bought. Eventually, the next day, it was last week Tuesday, he pulled into the impound lot. They looked at the vehicle and he sent me a voice note that obviously said the vehicle is definitely a stolen car and he lost the money, but he's still young. It's a baddie, man. I've experienced that feeling 14 times, and I know exactly how he felt. He's unfortunately not able to reach the previous owner as usual. Can't get a hold of him, can't get a refund, can't get a sorry, can't get a hello. That person is just vanished. The documentation that they provided was also falsified, so there's no way back to that person unless you really spend money off the lawyer and start digging deeper and deeper into the transaction. So having said that, we're going to dive into why cloned vehicles look perfectly legitimate, what innocent buyers and dealers both get caught, or why innocent buyers and dealers both get caught. Why does that happen? If a buyer gets caught, it's one thing, because you're not experienced. Not everyone's a doctor, not everyone's a surgeon, not everyone's a plumber, not everyone's an electrician, and if you can't spot it as a consumer, don't be too hard on yourself. Most dealers can't either, and the reason is, or the main reason is, they don't have a system how to process a purchase that is current. The syndicates are very sophisticated. They are extremely smart. They know how the law works. They know how the dealership framework works. They know what paperwork is required. They know the steps, the processes, and they know exactly what to say to fulfill your steps and actually legitimize that crime. They legitimize the stolen vehicle through dealerships, which is very sad. And most of the time, the dealer ends up getting the short end of the stick, losing the money, and then carrying on with life, trying to recover that lost income. Why police and insurance often arrive after the damage. That's the main problem that we have with this type of crime. It's always noted and noticed after the fact. So once the popo hits the fan and there's a big mess, that's when it's actually noticed, and the cops and the insurance companies kick into gear, and they follow procedure, they follow the law, and confiscate the vehicle, give it back to the rightful owner, because it is a stolen car posing as a car. Elsie's opening a chocolate here at the back. Just open the damn thing. Just rip it open.
I didn't want anybody to know that.
Yeah, now everyone knows. Everyone on the live, Elsie is eating a chocolate. A Vuma. Yeah, you must get some Vuma. Insights will focus on why a VIN check alone doesn't stop vehicle cloning. It's very important to understand why it doesn't stop vehicle cloning. The moment a cloned vehicle becomes legal, because for a temporary period of time, it actually becomes a legal vehicle. That was the big agenda today with the CEO of OLX, Property 24, Motor in Europe. I mean, these are walking, talking, like data centers. They literally are. They've got so much data that they can layer stacks on top of stacks on top of stacks, geolocks, what area prefers what type of vehicle, which is very useful for us, for me especially, because that information transfer will be done to the marketing team, and we can better advertise our cars to people that are actually in the market for that type of car in the area that they live. So phenomenal data. But even with that much data, when I explained to them why a VIN check is not enough, everybody had a aha moment. They're like, this is incredible. How much do you think this crime is actually worth? How much money have you lost? So I processed the 14 files that we had. We've lost just over 3 million rand over the last 15 years. Until 5 years ago, we actually figured this thing out and said, screw this. We are going to take charge of each and every transaction. We're going to lead. We have the upper hand, because at the end of the day, a dealership has the upper hand until they push the pay button. That's where you lose all your leverage, all your power, all your negotiation, all your checks. Everything goes down the tubes once you push the pay button. Once that money is cleared into the syndicate's account, that money leaves the account immediately. They transfer it to other accounts. You don't have access to stop it via court order. It's very difficult to recover the money, and you need to run a process of minimum 2.5 to 3 years in the South African judicial system, which I'm not batting. They do a fantastic job with 80s criminal law that they have to abide to. Nothing new, nothing has changed, nothing has been updated, and these are tech-enabled people fighting 80s systems, which means you're literally walking into a machine gun fight, not even wearing boxing gloves. That's how unfair it is. What most people misunderstand about a cloned vehicle. So most people will look at a cloned car and say, this is something that, did you do black background there? How did that happen? Because it's not black here. Anyway, it's better that way. Okay, it's more readable. What most people think is, it's a misrepresentation of a car, which to a degree is correct, but it's actually a stolen car that is posing as the real one. Dealers need to realize they're vulnerable right now. How cloned vehicles enter dealerships, exactly how it's done. And it will be done in the slickest way that you can imagine. These guys will fill out a form on your website to say, hey, what's up? My name is Uncle Bobby. I'm selling this Toyota Fortuner. It's a 2020 model, and I want more or less this price. So everything is in line. It will be more or less what you're trying to pay for a car, maybe slightly cheaper to entice you, but it won't be a situation where this is a car with 400,000 and we're asking 300,000, because that will already ring alarm bells, and then you'll be on your guard. I'm looking for between 370 and 390. Okay, great. Dealer already says, if I get this car for 370, it's actually a 400 grand car. I can sell 439. You know, I can buy it from one of the resellers at 400, or I can get it here at 370. There's almost a 10% added margin on already tight margins. I get to make 60 or 70 grand instead of 30 or 40 grand on an investment like this. Let's freaking go. When do we come and see your vehicle? When can you come visit us? These oaks are very accommodating. They're very smart. They'll tell you, listen, I've had prices from you know, one or two other dealers. I just want to see what you offered me, and I'm ready to sell the car, not from a desperation point of view, but just pushing you, saying all the right things that you need to hear so that you pull the trigger and pay them. Okay? Buying from private individuals is the biggest risk. Also, that's where the dealerships make the most profit. This is a catch-22. The moment that an expert, okay, a syndicate is an expert in their field, their job is to catch you. Your job as a dealer or private individual is to catch them first. So you need to almost pose as a wolf in sheep clothing, and that's how you present yourself as a sheep. You know, I'm an easy target, but I'm actually a wolf. I'll bite your neck off if you try this shit with me. So that's the idea of our course. We want to arm each and every dealership that is willing and that feels this is valuable with the information to become a wolf. Okay, not a sheep, but we'll dress you in sheep clothing initially so that you can extract the information, the data points that you need to cross-reference and double-check before you push that pay button. Because as I said in the beginning, the moment you do that, leverage is gone. They've got your money, it's gone. Trade-ins are also a huge risk. So one of the 14 scenarios that we had, which is flippin' smart. This was the smartest guy that caught me. Normally dealers are off their guard if it's a trade-in, because the trade-in is, I mean, this guy's a legitimate car. He's bringing us a car. He's taking one of our cars. What could go wrong? And that's exactly when your guard is down and you have a Mike Tyson overhead right against your temple, and you wake up 3 days later asking what your name is. So what this dude did is he came in with a more expensive vehicle. What's up?
So net vir John Pienaar sê baie dankie vir ons Go Popular.
JP, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, JP. You're the best. So a very unique scenario that happened to us in real time is the following. A gentleman, part of the criminal organization, gives us a call. I'm interested in this car. I want to downgrade. I've got this car, which is paid up. I want to trade it in. You give me the cheaper car and some money out. I need to do renovations on my house. Nothing wrong there. It's like, sweet, let's go. How much are you expecting for your vehicle? Well, I had this in mind. Market research has been done. They've gone on the listing sites and seen these cars sell for, let's take it for example, for 430. I want maybe just around 400, maybe a bit less. Come and have a look at the vehicle, or can I come to you? They pitch up at the dealership. All the paperwork is legit. It's an honest RC1 license registration paper, an honest one, which belongs to that car, the clown car, the stolen car. Cool. Have a look. Look at our vehicle. You know, he's still hesitant about our car that we want to sell him and give him the cash top up. You know, I don't know if this will work. May I test drive the car? What if it has issues? Now he's making you work for the sale. So now you're going to sell him into this transaction while he's selling you. That's the reason why I say it's such a sophisticated, well thought after crime. While you're busy trying to sell him and close the deal, manager's excited because he gets to trade in this bad boy here, Toyota Fortuner, maybe just under 400. It's worth 400. I'm using the Fortuner as an example because that's how we got caught. And then this person wants to buy a 150 grand car just as a runaround until he gets back on his feet, finishes the renovations at home, etc. Okay, sweet. So back and forth, negotiating. Eventually it takes us all the way up to 400,000, which is okay for the car because that's what the going rate is. But at least I get to buy this car and sell him a car, not a 400,000 rand outlay, but a 250,000 rand outlay. And we've got a cool car to sell. We'll make 30 or 40 grand on the new car. Makes you work for the sale. Boom, sale is done. Takes that vehicle with your invoice, you register it on their name, send them the paperwork. Now they've got a legitimate car because it comes from us. They've got 250,000 rand in their account. because it comes from us, 100% legitimate. Immediately transfer that money out, sell the vehicle for 120, take the 30 grand loss, legitimize the crime. Okay, now it's my problem. Now I have to go and prove beyond reasonable doubt in a court that this vehicle that we traded in is actually a stolen, cloned vehicle. Long process, the guy's number doesn't exist anymore. Who cares about the ID number? You can track him. Most of these oaks rent, and then they move to Bloem, they commit crimes, then they move to the Western Cape, then KZN, back in Joburg South, then they go Sandton. These guys move around and just hit dealerships all the time. That's what they do with cloned vehicles. Okay. Paperwork handling and trust gaps. So in our course, we're going to process while you're handling the paperwork. Where is the trust on you? Where's the trust on them? Okay, it's mostly on them. The trust on you is at the end. The trust on you is to push the pay button. The trust on you is to let go of the money, and that's it, it's gone. So where exactly do you pinpoint the gap? Okay, staff unknowingly assisting criminals. It's a big problem because typically a syndicate will have a very experienced salesperson guiding them and aiding them into the process. So what happens here first? Well, this happens. Then what happens? Then what happens? So they've got a deep, intimate understanding of the dealership workings, how the gears come together, what shifts what, who gets to touch the paperwork first, then second, who pays exactly to the T. And because they understand the process and procedure, they can reverse engineer it to their advantage. Okay. Well, we've never had an issue is a dangerous belief. A lot of the dealers reached out and said, you know what, Uncle B, I've been in business for 5 years and I've never had an issue like this. What do you think? Am I lucky? So damn straight you're lucky. You're very, very lucky. But having known what you know now in the beginning, would it make you more formidable or an easier target for those guys to target you? Okay, having known what you know now. You know what, we just in Bulgarian there's a saying, you know, someone can duck between the raindrops. So when the rain starts falling, you know, there are people that can duck between the raindrops, but they are few and far apart, and the harder it starts to rain, the more difficult it is to duck those. Okay, the reality is every successful cloning operation has at least one moment when no one thought to look twice. Okay, what we have on offer is a 15,000 Rand course per dealership that attends or per seat, and here's what you receive: an in-person or private session with the owner or manager. So whoever gets to decide, I'm the person that authorizes the pay button or I push the pay button. That is the most important person to be in the room. Either you authorize the transaction or you yourself push the button. Now the bigger dealers have account departments. We have 4 ladies that sit in accounts that push the pay button. It will be pointless to send them to a course like this. But the management team that says this is an okay to pay car, you can process the payment, that's the person that needs to attend and get the education. All right, how vehicle cloning operations work. Real world patterns with our own case studies of 14 of them. So we'll unpack 14 different scenarios. Okay, sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation, we found ourselves in a situation, we trade in an old shape Ford Ranger Bakkie, one owner Bakkie. Okay, one owner Bakkie financed. So that's just another stop street that we added onto the long list of stop streets that will reveal to the dealers that attend. This Bakkie is financed, there's a settlement. We call, and it was Absa Bank. We call Absa Bank. So listen, there's a settlement here that we want to pull. This consumer wants to trade in this old shape Ranger Bakkie to a Type C Ranger new shape double cab. All right. Everything's sweet. They send us the settlement letter. I can remember like it was yesterday. This was like 4 years ago. They sent me a settlement letter of just under 350. Okay, 347, 8, whatever the number is. Call it 350. Okay, cool. Gentleman says, I want 370 for the vehicle. And this is a good guy, by the way. He bought it brand new, okay, through Ford Credit, which is a division of ABSA. Brand new, single owner, 4 or 5 services. The Bucky is legit. It's the real Bucky. This is the real Bucky in front of us. Okay, sweet. Takes delivery of his new Ranger. We trade in the old shape Ranger. Give him the paperwork. He goes. All right. The Natus, the original paper, arrives at our dealership. Goes to the department that has to register this vehicle, dealer stock it. We call it in our world dealer stock. The moment that we dealer stock a car, it sort of puts a freeze on the license disc. So if the vehicle doesn't sell in a couple of days, hopefully, or a couple of months, the license disc expires. The penalties on the license disc are frozen because it's dealer stock. They know it's in a dealer environment. We'll pick up the license disc once the vehicle is sold. Goes to that department. They send the papers in for registration. Okay, paper comes back with a big fat red notice that says not the latest Natus document. So not the latest Natus document, which means there was a duplicate Natus pulled while the vehicle is financed, which seems impossible, but it's not. Here's what the criminal underworld does. So they'll identify your vehicle, the good guy. They'll look at you, maybe they live in the same complex, the same street, or they just take a license disc photo at Checkers when you're shopping. All right. It's a silver Bucky, silver Ford Ranger. That was a 2021 model. And it's a 2.2 Auto XL. All right. So now they've got the target. Because it's a relatively new vehicle, okay, they know that this vehicle will typically run for about 36 months before the vehicle is paid off and the paper is requested. They then, through intimidation, so this is one of the I think key lessons that I need to teach dealers. The people that are working at Natus, that are printing papers, that are actually logging in license discs, that are working on the system actively, they go home and they live in a neighborhood. In that specific situation, because we had a deep dive, we actually ended up locking the person that issued the duplicate, but that's a story for another day. Through intimidation, they will go in the place where they live. That person lived in Attridgeville, which is like a stone throw away from us. So it's a Pretoria Bucky, everything's local. And they'll go and intimidate this person and say, right, we need you to do a duplicate Natus for this and this registration or VIN number. Okay, if you don't, then we're going to have a problem. Okay, so now that person needs to make a decision. All right, do I say no and have a problem at home, or do I just keep these guys off my back and just do it this once off, close my eyes and do it? Because each time something happens on Natus, it's recorded with a personnel number. So the personnel number has to log into the computer and then issue the duplicate. Okay, paper comes in, not the latest Natus, it's rejected. I say, that's weird. Okay, no problem. So pull the DNA of the vehicle. We see that it jumped out of this person's name and ABSA in that stage. So ABSA gets registered as the title holder, and the gentleman that traded in the vehicle is the owner. So it jumped out of their name before the car was paid up. Before the car was paid up, jumped out of their name into another person's name, another person's name, another person's name, another person's name. 4 name changes in a space of about 3-4 months. 2 years ago. Okay. Interesting. So the cost paper was pulled, the duplicate, name changes occurred. Okay. Original Natus remained with the bank in their vault. So the paper wasn't actually stolen out of the vault and registered. Just the duplicate was pulled. Right. The level of finesse required to pull a move like this. This is some Ocean's 12 shit. With George Clooney and Brad Pitt there taking a casino for millions. This is the level of connections and finesse required. Okay, cool. I found them. Listen, gents, settled your Bucky. You have my money. Cool. I need the latest Natus document because the vehicle's a one owner. according to the paperwork that he signed with a Ford dealership. He bought it brand new, and I paid you in full. I didn't miss a zero or short paid you, and you sent me a latest document which is not the latest. So we need to proceed forward, and you need to give me the latest document. We didn't lose the money in that instance. Very simple. Said, okay, before we are allowed to market this vehicle, how many notices do we owe that specific bank? X amount. Say, great, I owe you 10 notices, you owe me one. I'll give you the 10 when you give me the one. How's that? No, that's against SLA. I said, agree. Service level agreement says within a couple of days I need to produce a notice, and vice versa, you need to produce a notice. Uncle B, you're right, I'll phone you back. This is the top dog in the banks. He sends somebody from crime investigations unit. I'll never forget him. This guy was so freaking overweight, man. He was like 180 kilos. I had to put him on the couch. He couldn't sit on one of our coffee shop chairs. He'll fucking break the chair. Anyway, sits on the couch. Sorry, Elsie's laughing at me. It's the truth. Sits on the couch. I show him the paperwork. I said, what you going to do now? He says, you know what, Uncle B? We have many of these cases. Let me take the bucky. I'm going to go to, it's in Pretoria West. In Pretoria, I'm going to go to the impound. I'll sort this out. We do this all the time. I said, all the time? He says, unfortunately, all the time. And I do work for many banks. So it's not an isolated incident with Absa. And I'm not throwing shade on them or spitting fire at them whatsoever. It happens with all the banks. I said, so explain to me how this actually works, because you work with the criminals as well. You catch them. He says, yes, Uncle B, I do. So intimidation will take place. In that instance, it was in Attridgeville. The criminals know who the people are that work there. They go to their homes. They catch them on their way to work, wherever they hang out or shop on the weekends. And then they'll have a tough conversation. If you don't do this, then we'll do that to you and your loved ones. It's fucking ugly. Anyway, long story short, they had to clear our bucky, make sure that it's not a clone vehicle. They took it for a couple of days, 3-4 days, and then they gave us the bucky back, issued a new set of papers, and then reported the other vehicle as stolen. And eventually they found the other vehicle, but fired, I'm hitting marks out the way here, but fired the person with the control number entry. So fired that employee that logged onto the system and issued the duplicate. And that person, I'm always very slow to judge in a situation like that. What would I do if I'm in that situation? That person was catching public transport on their way to work. They've got a family, kids that go to school. They've lived in that area their entire life. Now you get these thugs that come and pressure you to say, if you don't do this, then we might hurt 1, 2, 3 X person. Because that was the statement. They had to fire the person, but that was the statement. Now that person lost their job, their income. In that situation, the only and main breadwinner, because they helped the syndicate pull a duplicate while a car was financed. It is so intricate and so detailed that it blew my mind. The safety net for us was the fact that the vehicle was still financed with the bank. And that's only the first part of the safety net. The real safety net was the real car. It was the real car because it's a one-owner vehicle. It never exchanged hands, and we bought it directly from the person that owned it new. And we had leverage over the bank to say, but we also owe you notices. You need to sort this one out. Not that I would withhold the 10 notices that I owe them at that stage. I can't. Our SLA agreement, they'll kick me off the board. I'll lose the dealer code. It's ugly from there. But they assisted me in that situation. Boom, one more check that we have to double check before we trade in a vehicle, even if it's financed, even if it's a one-owner. Okay, so each and every car that comes through our doors runs the same process, and that's what we want to give you. All right, dealer-specific risk management, where cloning enters the business. I want to explain to you exactly where it enters and how. Staff behavioral red flags. A lot of the syndicates will use the same approach that they used with that specific lady and put leverage on your staff. So the staff also live in areas, in neighborhoods. They've got a history. They grew up with people. They are known in the community. This is where I work, XYZ. Okay, sweet. So you're going to help us process this transaction, this deal, or else. And at the end of the day, if they put that much leverage on that specific person, family comes first, your life comes first. Those guys are ruthless. They care about nothing else except money and catching you. And that's how they get money. Exactly how to pinpoint the risky areas in your business and who controls those. Trade-ins and acquisition protection protocols. So how do you handle a trade-in? As a dealership, do you have a documented process outside of filling in a little trade-in form with the engine and VIN? What checks are run when a trade-in enters the dealership? How do you check that car from start to finish? It should be no different as to how you check it if you buy it from a private individual that you meet at McDonald's that you've never ever met before. Exactly how. And here's the thing, right? Including consumers that have bought vehicles from you in the past but have bought somewhere else. So because you know Jan and Pete and he's a good guy and he owns a transport company down the road and you know where he works, you know where he stays, it doesn't mean he will unwillingly not bring in a trade-in that is cloned. So is there a documented process for trade-ins? Okay, documentation and VIN handling safeguards. Yes, please, some water. Thanks, Els. If we suspect cloning, response framework. So, I was a cowboy for many, many years. After I was caught 14 times, and I set traps for these oaks, and I got the cops involved, and we locked one or two of them up. And the only thing that happened to me was I got literal death threats from private numbers. Okay, so we'll lock someone up, we'll set him up, now meet us at this and this location, and then the cops will come there and lock him up. Then a day or two later, I'll get a threat from a private number to say, yeah, you locked up our guy. We're watching you. We know you stay there and there. And, you know, after getting the second call like that, I said, okay, I can't be a cowboy. That's not what I do. I sell cars. In order for me to sell cars, I need to buy in cars. How do I do it in a safe, controlled environment where I don't put a big spotlight on my dealership, on my staff, and on myself, on my family? Okay, what is the protocol when you identify this? I'll give you hours. For example, car comes in from a website. We are soliciting leads to buy a vehicle. You shoot me a Fortuner. I ask you for some stuff. We do a DNA check. I pick up that this is potentially a clone vehicle. The call goes out from one of our lead center managers or from the lady that responds or the gent that responds. Hi, sir. We really appreciate the effort of loading your vehicle on our system. However, it did not pass the minimum documentational risk requirement for us to continue further. Thank you for your support. We will not be buying this vehicle. Have a nice day. The moment they try and fish out information, I'm under strict instructions from our management team. Bye-bye, sir. Boom. Block that person. That's it. Okay. Setting them up, getting the cops to catch them. You're going to catch one. You're going to catch two. There's 2,000 out there doing this crime. 22 to 26,000 cloned stolen vehicles enter the used car space every single year. You can't catch all of them. So what is the process when you identify them in terms of communication so that you don't place risk on yourself, on your staff, on the dealership, on your family? What is that process? And then during that course, it will probably take us in the region of about 2 hours. At the end of it, the dealerships can interact and have a Q&A on a real dealership scenario. So the last masterclass that we did was about a year ago, where we invited, we had 2 sessions on a Saturday, full Saturday. We had a couple of things on the agenda, including social media marketing, how to create posts, what you do in the background that the front-facing consumer, you guys that watch our content, what you actually don't see to make our stuff go viral, how you tag, how you jump on big websites, how you jump on big channels so that they can help you flow. So we had a lot of different scenarios in different environments, but one of them was the cloning and stolen vehicle training. Okay, 22 dealers, 2 events. It was 50,000 Rand per person to attend. One dealership that was particularly supportive. It's two sons and a father. So the first time around, the oldest son came. Okay, presented him, gave him the book, gave him the layout. He said to me, you know, Uncle B, 3 months ago, we got caught with a Legend 50. Okay, extremely expensive, low mileage, 4x4 auto. It's like a 700,000 rand plus car at the time, which was about a year and a bit ago. Okay, cloned vehicle, cops took it. We never recovered a cent. The guy's gone. Okay, 2 months later, we got caught with a Polo Viva, like a year and a half old car. So if you notice the pattern, they will never clone a Citroen Aircross 2021 model. Okay, they'll clone a Hilux Legend 50, a Polo Viva, a TSI, a GTI. They'll clone a popular car that is easy to sell. It's in high demand with low supply, so that the dealerships fall for it. They bite the hook and then you run with it. So in that Q&A session, at the end of the cloned vehicle portion, I asked him, brother, if you know the information, if you knew rather the information that you know today, exactly step by step, would they have caught you? He said 0% chance. Okay, zero, like literally 0% chance, because this is where I failed. Okay, he had files, he had the data points, and we ran it against the 5-point system that I presented him. He said, you sure zero? He says zero. Okay, sweet. It's been more than a year. I speak to this gent sometimes, from time to time. How's the buying? Confident. I am the wolf. I control. I've got the leverage. I push the pay button. If anything in the 5-step process looks off or awkward, we do not pay. We show away. Okay, cool. Then we ran a second masterclass. Then he phoned me, says, let me pay you. My younger brother's coming. I said, he doesn't need to come. You've already got the system. You don't need to pay me the 50K. Just show your brother the book. Run him through the system. Uncle B, I insist. My brother has to come. He has to see in real time what you showed me. He doesn't, because you have it. Anyway, fight. Pays me the 50K. Booty comes along. We decided to do a third session. He says, Uncle B, my dad's coming. I said, brother, don't send your dad. You already know. You and your boot run the dealership. Your dad overseas. Don't send me the 50K. Pays the 50K. Eventually, we cancelled the third one and we paid him back. But that person said, Bobs, I'll spend the 150 with you to make sure that if anything happens to me or my boot, my dad's up to date. I said, give him the book, bro. You've got the play. No, he's coming. So the effect of that was protecting that dealership. They're very aggressive in Gazina. They buy hundreds of cars on the road from private individuals confidently, by them being the actual wolf instead of the sheep that gets eaten. One cloned vehicle can cost more than 10 times this program in legal fees alone, never mind what the car costs. Okay, so the last vehicle that we purchased was a 120,000 Rand vehicle. Cloned vehicle, cops took it. They never gave it back. They gave it to the rightful owner. At about 250,000 Rand in legal fees, I tapped out. I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not throwing one more cent against the lawyer to, number one, this guy's a acting advocate in the Brooklyn Chambers. So what makes him a formidable opponent is he really understands the law. Like, he's not even trying. He's a defense advocate. So he keeps criminals out of jail. That's his job. Very successful at it. Very rich, very wealthy. He took the car as part payment on a case, which, by the way, in their environment is illegal. You have to get fees with EFT. But that's just a drop in the ocean of how this guy navigated the legal system to drain me, literally drain me out of a 250,000 Rand. And I still couldn't prove him guilty at the second high court, which was in Bloemfontein. Once we had the actual guilty at the Johannesburg High Court. Now, to go to High Court, you need an advocate and a lawyer. So the lawyer is at a fee, hourly fee, or whatever, however you structure it. The advocate that went out there was 60,000 Rand for the day. Okay, and then he prepares you ahead of time. Cross question, what if they ask this? Put the guy on the stand, put me on the stand, put everybody on the stand. So 60,000 Rand, the amount of time wasted between me, the buying manager, who was actually at that stage the buyer, but worked himself up to the buying manager. By the way, it's not Mossy, it's someone else. The buying manager, time off work, stressed. We still have a photo. It came up on my memory the other day. Me and him in suits. Now, I fucking hate wearing a suit. He hates it more than me. We took a picture before we went to High Court in Johannesburg, where they found him guilty. They said, yes, based on the evidence, you are guilty. You sold a stolen vehicle, i.e. a cloned vehicle, and that's the ruling. Okay, so I was very excited, very happy. Little did I know he could appeal in the Bloemfontein High Court. I don't like this decision. It's within my rights. I'm an advocate. I know how the law works. I'm appealing this decision. In my opinion, this is not a stolen or cloned car. Okay, bro. Where's the car? Were the cops? They took it. They gave it back to the insurance company because it was a stolen car. They had paid out the original owner. It belongs to the insurance company. Now, areas in this case don't really make sense. I'm appealing this ruling, which means we push a reset button and we have to present our case in Bloemfontein. More money, more time off work, more effort, more headaches. I said, you know what? I'm not a guy that taps. Like, I love a fight. But when you throw good money against bad money, there's a point in time where you have to pull the trigger and say, sorry, I can't do this anymore. You have the money, bro. No problem. You win this time. Lesson learned. Big glass of cold water. We carry on with life. This is a true story. It happened here. We all saw it happen in front of our eyes. The price justification is 15k versus a seized vehicle. Okay, what's more, the 15,000 rand or the 120,000 rand if you're lucky? That little car that they took. In my friend's instance that came to attend our masterclass, it was almost R1 million. 2 cars within 3 months. Legal disputes. It's like a bottomless pit. You just keep throwing money and money and money and money. Advocate, more prep work, more time, more lawyer letters. Every time a lawyer phones you, he bills you. Every time he sends you an email, he bills you. Every time a paralegal needs to come and ask a statement, he bills you. So it's just ongoing and frustrating. Reputational damage. Now, some dealers may say, okay, well, you know what? I bought it like this. I didn't do the crime. Why should I pay you back? And you could do that if you're a dealer. You can absolutely do that. Let me take this guy to court. I'll let you know, sir. Then you'll have a customer, even if they bought this vehicle cash. Let's say they bought it for 150 grand, Toyota Yaris. Okay, the customer is out of pocket. You saying we're going to court. 2 weeks later, that customer is screaming and shouting and Facebook posts and that social media post, and it goes viral and you lose your reputation. Reality. Okay, bank and insurer scrutiny. If you are called out in situations like this, immediately raises a red flag with the bank. Okay. In your SLA agreement, it says you need to be father, you need to stand father for your product. Okay. If this slipped through, this one car, how many other cars have actually slipped through? Okay. Show us your buying patterns. Have you bought cars from this person before? Where do you normally source your cars? How do you find stock? Scrutiny from both bank and insurance. Okay, police involvement. Cops show up at your dealership. We had it here before we converted it to studio in a nice big building. One Saturday afternoon, we were about to lock up. We actually bought this car from one of the biggest supermarkets in South Africa, if not the biggest, call them the biggest. So for us, it was a soft landing because we had recourse with them. Cops show up, 3 or 4 police vans. The guys jump out. They point to the Ranger. It was on a ramp. Do you see that Ranger there? I said, yes, I do. Would you like to buy it? No, we are confiscating the car. I said, confiscating the car. What about my proof of payment and my invoice? I bought it from these oaks. Listen, that's not up to us. We are confiscating this car. This is a stolen vehicle. And on that specific bakkie, I put like big wheels on it, tires, BF Goodrich tires. Eventually, the person that, or the company that we bought it from, refunded me for the vehicle. So I got the money on the invoice, but lost almost 30,000 rand for wheels and tires. They said, listen, we never asked you to put on big wheels and tires. We accept responsibility. Here's your money back. But the wheels and tires, painting of the bumper, recon inside, polish, valet, 30 grand out the door, lost the 30,000 rand. So the police involvement here, luckily, knock wood, you don't want cops coming here at any time of the day or night, but it was late Saturday afternoon. They were very professional. They understood that we didn't do the crime, we didn't commit the crime. Once we produced proof of payment and invoice, they said, listen guys, you are not guilty of this crime. What you are guilty of is possession of a stolen vehicle. So you've got literally zero choice or foot to stand on. Give us the keys, give us copies of all your paperwork. We are taking the bakkie away. So let me put the old wheels back. You're putting nothing back. We are taking the bakkie away. So was it Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, when the floor is buzzing and full? What would the reputational damage be there when this is done in the open? That's what you risk. Okay. Here's the PhD in streets. Okay. PhD. Higher grade street technology. Pattern analysis. How will you get a light bulb moment? Okay. There's 2 or 3 things that give you that. Industry behavior. Crime mechanics. Dealer process intelligence. So the one lucky thing, some of you guys especially on Facebook, there's a few dealerships that call me out and say, Uncle B, you should make this a free educational seminar and not charge the dealerships 15,000 rand to teach them because you got this info for free. I said, okay, what about the 3 million rand that I've lost until I had meetings with some of the syndicate heads to educate me on this? What about that money? No, but you got the information for free. So losing, it's not free, number one. Number two, the reason why we do it in a controlled environment is because we get to vet the dealerships that come in. Okay, so reach out. Hey, Uncle B, saw your post. I really enjoyed it. I want to join. Really? What's your dealership name? A, B, C, D, E, F, G Motors. Go on Auto Trader. Oh, you do exist. Okay, you're in Klerksdorp. Cool, sweet. Have you been caught before? We get to vet the dealers that attend so that one of them slip through and say, okay, these guys are jacked up. We're not going to catch them. They're educating the rest of the dealer network. How are they educating them so that we can evolve again and then try our luck with a number 99 move that they haven't seen yet? The moment that we release the information and the 5-step process free to the public, it's not only good guys that get to see this information, it's the bad guys as well. They evolve, they adapt, you are unprotected. 15 is almost too many dealerships to train at once in a closed environment, but it's just enough. 15 dealers, I get to say thank you very much. The team gets to make some commission as well. Thank you very much. Use this wisely. Don't get caught with a clone or stolen vehicle. Okay, after training 44 dealers last year on this topic, here's what we've learned. Insight on how cloning syndicates actually operate. So is it a one-man band? Is it a two-man band? Is it a 20-man band? Is it a 100-man band? If you consider between 22 and 25,000 of these vehicles enter the marketplace annually, do you think it's 1, 2, 5, 10, 50 or 150 people? You can do the math. Okay, how they actually operate. Exactly how. We see the same weakness repeatedly. And the reason for that is not that dealerships are weak or they don't know how to do business. It's because the systems and the processes and the procedures are outdated, mostly due to a lack of information, which I'm going to help you retrieve. But majority of the problem comes in a lack of innovation. We've been doing this so many years. Thousands of cars have entered the doors and left. You know, this is normal. This is how we normally do it. And that's the weakness right there. Okay. This is where dealerships unknowingly assist. So, because the person knows your next 5 moves, they get to dictate it when and how you make those moves. So unknowingly, you are legalizing that vehicle and financing it through a bank. Okay. And then I've written a letter to the dealer principal or managing director or a group CEO or a one-man band that says vehicle cloning in South Africa has evolved. What was once a theft problem has become a documentation and process problem, and dealerships are increasingly being used, often unknowingly, as the final point of legitimization. Okay, the final point. Midmac has been analyzing how cloned vehicles move through the market, and one pattern is consistent. Dealerships are not targeted because they are careless. That's the worst part. They're not careless. They are targeted because they are trusted. Trade-ins, acquisitions, internal paperwork handling, and staff assumptions are the exact gaps cloning syndicates rely on. This is not something most buying teams are trained to identify, and by the time a cloned vehicle is flagged, the financial and reputational damage is already done. It's already done. By the time it's flagged, it's too late. Whether it's a week, a month, a year, or 3 years. The longest one that from point of sale to actually realizing this was a clone stolen vehicle that we sold was just under 3 years. So just under 3 years later, boom, bomb explodes. Too late. You can't do anything about it now. You lose the money. The session covers how modern vehicle cloning operates actually, where cloned vehicles enter dealerships, staff behavior and processes gaps criminals exploit, practical safeguards for trade-ins and acquisition, clear response protocols if cloning is suspected. It's very important. That part there, you don't want someone phoning you from a private number or a number that's not RICA, then you answer, threatening your life and telling you where you live and what time in the morning you drive to work using which road, because that happened to me. Okay. To ensure confidentiality and effectiveness, only 15 dealerships will be accepted into this phase of the program. The investment is 15K per dealer or per seed. One prevented incident more than justifies 20 times the cost. That's just basic maths. And the headache and the reputational damage and cops and all this other nasty shit that happens afterwards. Are you ready to make a move? Are you ready to make a move and protect your dealership in this ongoing, growing crime? Els, I did that with a lot of time to spare. Is there any good questions that we can take?
Let's check.
Any good questions? Blue Viper says I'm the best TikTok. These are boring sessions, brother. These ones don't bring in the crowds like the auctions do. Tomorrow, by the way, we've got a kick-ass auction with very, very nice cars. Chopper, respect to your uncle, but this is information should be pushed out to dealers and the public for free. So Chopper, I think I handled that objection earlier, but if you weren't listening, let me handle it again. If we push this information to the public, the problem is part of the public is the syndicate. And once we reveal how we catch them, or we reveal to dealerships that are part of this organization, the information very quickly becomes outdated and they up their game and they continuously evolve to catch us again. So the moment we make this public, I agree 100% with your statement. It should be free and it should be out to all the public. But the risk factor is if I do that, I just arm them with more information. If I do it with vetted dealerships, those dealerships will keep that information close by because they paid for it and they'll actually use it not to get caught. I hope that explains your objections. What happens if you buy a clone car at a dealer who's Louis, the money, the bank, or the dealer or the buyer? Who loses the money? Okay, so well done, Farki. What happens if you purchase a vehicle like that at the dealer? Who loses the money? The bank, the dealer, or the buyer? It's always the dealer. Okay, you go make noise at the bank and the dealer. The bank's leverage is to tell the dealer settle or else we will kick you off our board. You will no longer have the privilege of actually using our dealer code to finance vehicles. You lose that specific bank. No dealer can afford that. Trust me. Not even us. We cannot afford to lose a single bank. Because if you think about it this way, a 50-50 customers entering our dealership, they do an application, we apply to all 5 banks, only one approves. Now imagine we lost that one. How many deals do we lose long term if we tell the bank, F off, piss off, we're not settling the score, we bought it like this. The bank will take a hit, okay? They will refund the customer. They've got no choice because it's their asset. But they trust the dealer partner, gave them that asset. He or she let that asset slip in between. Just want to get this. Lion, I'm on a live. I'll phone you as soon as I'm done, brother. Lekker boss. Bye, bye. Always have to take the Lion's call in case there's an emergency. So ultimately, the dealer loses the money. And that's the sad part because the dealer had nothing to do with it. And the highest respect goes to each and every dealership in the country because it's freaking hard to do what we do every day. Never mind protect yourself from this crime. It's actually hard. You have to get salespeople, train salespeople, keep them motivated, get leads, compete against listed companies. You have to market, you have to advertise, accounting, you have to do a lot of shit. And then you lose 2 cars and all that effort's down the tubes for free. Nothing to show for it. Unfortunately, the dealer 9 times out of 10 loses the money. Okay, Johan van Wyk, how's it? John Pinard, thank you, brother. Any other questions? Love the stories and brilliant content. Appreciate you, JP. You're a top fan, my brother, and we'll keep on producing them if there's people watching. Anything on the other platforms? Nothing. Done. Boom! Shagalaga. Having said that, when it comes to GP, do dealerships make more on brand new or pre-owned cars? TK, good question. So, very good question, in fact. I'll say it depends on the brand. It depends on the demand. Timing is crucial. For example, at the moment, the T2 Jetour is very popular. Jetour is limiting the supply. The demand is there. So no dealer will discount a T2 at the moment. Not a single dealer. Okay. It's a 670,000 Rand car. They've got about 10% profit margin in the car. So call it 60 grand. Okay, 0 dealers will discount any of their stock. 0. So they'll make full bang, full pop profit on the car new without discounting it because the supply is not there. And then they'll get back end. The more the stock enters the market, okay, the more flooded it becomes. Now, we're not selling each and every one before it even arrives. Now we've got 4 in stock. Listen, we'll give you 10 or 20 grand off. And then the customer will take this quote to the next dealer, to the 3rd dealer, to the 5th dealer, and then they'll come back to the 1st dealer. That's why, like, the people that sell new cars, it's a different level of patience once the customer shop you that way, which is fair to the customer. That's when profit margins are diminished. I've got a friend that managed the VW store for about, one of the biggest in the country, for about, I don't know how long he was there, 15 years. He was there forever. He left recently. He moved on to other ventures. That specific manager told me, Uncle B, how much do I make on a brand new caddy? What does the caddy cost? I think it was 400 grand. Okay, 10%, let's say you give half of it away, 20 grand. You make 20 grand on a caddy. If you discount your profit 50%. He says, I wish I made 20 grand a caddy. I make 2,500 rand on a brand new car. I said, okay, who eats, who watches, who gets paid, who doesn't get paid? What's the salesman's comp? 10%. Dude, he can't even pour petrol to come to work and go home and have lunch. He's actually, it's costing him less money to stay at home. He says, exactly. So we need to chase numbers to hit our factory incentive, and that's where the money comes in, and then it's shared. But if we lose the factory incentive, then the salesperson goes home with his basic. That's the ugly part. So when the supply is greater than the demand, profit margins on new cars are diminished. When the supply is less than the demand, full pop profits, as it's happening in real time in front of us with the Jetour J2. I think that's what it's called. Okay, On used vehicles, let's process the profit margins on used vehicles. If you have a perler is something that no one else has. For example, we've got an M6 with 13,000 Ks. Okay, selling for $1 million. Okay, I'll make more money on that car than selling 10 Swifts. So I'll make more money on one car than selling 10 new Swifts, because the Swifts are bread and butter. They come in, we make a 10 grand or 15 grand, some back end DIC, some products that we sell. Everyone's happy, the wheels are turning, everything's moving forward. Salespeople are making comms, F&Is are making comms. Everybody gets to enjoy a little bit of commission from that specific transaction. Okay, now we sell that M6 with 13,000 Ks. We do 150 GP. That's the GP in that car. We do 150 GP on one car. Should I discount the car? Why should I? Okay, if it stands a little longer, I'll start discounting it. But for now, customer comes in, hey Uncle B, I saw this M6 and you know what, I want the car, but I want to pay 50 grand less. Look, appreciate you, come look at the car, kick the tire, take it for a drive, do the DNA checks, take the VIN to BMW, check the service history, everything's cool on the car. Can you get a similar one? The answer is no. So I can't discount the car yet. I'm sorry, sir. You can risk it, leave it here for another month, and maybe you come back in a month, I'll give you some money off, or lose the car, because you can't get this car anywhere else. So in that scenario, we get a big GP on a car that is absolutely super duper, almost impossible to get at another dealer. Now, Ertigas. We bought 4 Ertigas on Friday. Okay, they started arriving on Saturday, and we bought another 6 today, and we're going to have another 10 by the end of the week. Currently, as it stands today, super duper scarce. We're not going to discount our Ertigas. We're not giving you 2 cents off. The moment the market floods again, we'll adjust our prices. So initially, when the supply is very low, the demand is very big, okay, we make a little bit more first gross profit. As those touch, we have to start discounting to get rid of the stock, to have cash flow for the next wave of vehicles that we need to buy. I hope I answered your question in as eloquent way as I possibly could, and you're satisfied with what else you want to ask me. We've got a couple of minutes more, got about 20 minutes. I can process a lot of questions if there are, or we can have an early night, whatever you guys decide. But if you have kick-ass questions, I am indeed available. Anything else? Love the content. Antoinette, thank you very much. Kevin Williams, you awesome too, brother. Sonette House, hello Sonette, nice to meet you. Okay, TK, that was your question. JP loves the storytelling. Anything else? Any other platforms? Questions? One more message. You are too cool. Thanks for the advice. Gutta, Kata, Monkey. You're welcome, brother. And thank you for the compliment. Thank you very much. Instagram, yeah?
About an item. What is your take on the 0 rating of the NCAP?
Oh, the NCAP. So one of the Braaivleis or sushi, Marcel, I'm building up these guns, brother. This doesn't come from sushi. Braaivleis. Nice question. Thank you, man. But I do like sushi as well. But Braaivleis, definitely 10 times out of 10. Your marketing is legit to quit. Too legit to quit. Thank you. Love your static. Thanks, Kevin. Marcel's enjoying that. True South African, just like me. I'm going to get to the NCAP rating now. Just want to see, do you know of any companies that take interns in Durban? I'm extremely good with sales. TK, I'll be honest with you, the answer is no. I'm not sure. Not off the top of my head. There's a few dealerships that have come to our masterclass events in Durban. There's a couple of good guys, some really, really aggressive dealers. What was his name with a bald head? He was here with his F&I. He was at the event. He bought 2 tickets. What's his name? Do you remember him?
Is it the Afrikaans one?
Yeah. He was an Afrikaans youngish guy. Very energetic. That's a dealer I would work for. I can't remember his name.
Shit.
Well, can you check on the masterclass group? TK, I'm going to give you a lead. You can just say that you won one of my lives and you'd love to work for him. If I can recommend the dealership in KZN in Durban, that will be him. I'll try and retrieve the name in a few minutes once Elsie's high score is completed on the Tetris game. TK, hang in there, brother. I'll tell you the dealership's name very shortly.
Was it the first or the second?
He came on the first one. I think he came on the first one. He was a young guy, bold, very well built, and he was there with his F&I. So he came for the marketing and training on how to identify cloned vehicles, and he brought the F&I to bump up the approval ratings.
Okay. Warwick.
TK, we're gonna find that number, brother. Let me see some other questions here.
Maybe Henny.
Sorry?
Isn't he Henny?
Show me what he looks like. Is there a
Yeah.
profile picture?
Yeah, I'll say
What's the dealership called?
Uh,
TK, you need to send me Nando's if I can land you a job, brother.
CIT.
No, it's not. It's not that. They were in KZN. TK, WhatsApp me your number. I'll connect you with someone. We'll go through the lists because there's 44 dealers that we need to go through. So TK from TikTok Live, WhatsApp me your name and number. I'll send you their name. Elsie's high score is interfering with the WhatsApp groups here. Okay, I'm going to jump onto the NCAP safety rating. I'm not avoiding the question. I just got distracted. So one of the most prominent journalists this Sunday called me very, very early. I was actually in the shower. I was preparing to go to church. So I found him a couple of minutes later and we had the discussion around Hyundai. So I actually, like in my heart, I cannot believe that it's a 0 NCAP safety award. I love that car so much. It's such a nice car. We sell hundreds of them. And I literally can't, the conversation went around, why is Hyundai not putting out a public statement? Why are they not saying, listen, we're sorry, we'll improve. I don't know what to tell you. As far as on Sunday, according to the journalist that found me, they have not released any statements addressing the public or the result. So I don't know. And it's such a cool car. If you compare that car to a Quid or anything in that segment, a Espresso, Vitz, Toyota Vitz, because it's a similar price range car. If you compare the technology, the amount of like pizzazz around the car with a new brake light, that it's such a cool car. It's such a kick-ass car. I don't know why they screwed up the safety 0 NCAP award. It's messed up, man. Okay, TK, did you find something?
I found another question. Can I go on?
Go on with your
Okay.
question.
Skukuza.
Skukuza from the Kruger National Park.
We are a startup importing from SA to Mozambique. What would be the top 2 advice or points for us based on today's topic?
Okay,
What to look for, what to avoid.
attend the class. Yeah, that's your first one. The second one is automatically answered once you have the information. So that's the reality. If you don't know what to look for, it's gonna be too bad, so sad for you once you pay a dealership that money. Look, the dealer, especially in your case, the dealer has more leverage with you than they'll have with a bank finance car, because they'll just say, listen man, we bought it that way, I'm sorry, we're gonna go to court, I'll let you know what happens. The second we get our money back from this criminal, I'll pay you back. Here's it in writing. So that's the reality. Less leverage with a dealership, especially if you're a Mozambique-based company that wants to export the car to Maputo. I do have a couple of lawyers that do that at quite a large scale that I've done lots of business with. You guys love the Toyota Hiluxes. 4x4, manual, auto, it doesn't matter. If it's a D4D, it's a bonus. You guys love the Hiluxes, and that's unfortunately the game that the criminals love playing as well. So yeah. Any other questions, Els? I'm going to give you guys 2-3 minutes. If you have any other questions or stuff you want to ask me or process with me, we can go. Otherwise, we'll call it a night. and you can go back to watching Generations or
You're
someone
giving away
playing.
your age.
Sorry?
You're giving away your age.
Yeah, I know. Or watch someone play computer games. That's apparently a thing. It's freaking crazy. Yeah, George showed me the other day. People play games on TikTok and
Ja,
then
dan
like
kry jy soos 1000 of 2000.
mense wat kyk hoe skiet 'n ander mannetjie 'n ander mannetjie.
Ja.
Amazing. Can I have a sweet, please? Okay, finished them. Cease, else. Didn't even leave me one. Okay. Hey, Bobby G. Any car seat covers? What's up, brother? How are you? Okay, 2 more minutes if you have any questions, or we'll call it a night. Anything you want to ask Uncle B? Ask me now, forever hold your pieces. Elsie hands me a Zin. She literally throws a Zim packet at me. Els, and it's a Cool Mint, strong nicotine pouch.
Dis joune, so
It's yours. Don't lie to the people. It's yours.
imagine.
What is the biggest problem you're facing at the dealership at the current market? VW guy, what is the biggest problem that you're facing at okay, right now at the dealership in the current market? Like right now, today, my biggest problem is the fact that we have a backlog at our panel shop. So over the December holiday, the panel shop closed for about a week, which means whatever cars were not finished had to stay there. Whatever cars were bought within that week just piled on, and whatever cars we've bought up to this point in time have piled on even more. So currently we've got 73 or 74 cars at the panel shop that are not touched, like literally are not touched. So it's stone chips on the bumpers, stone chips on the bonnets, the rims and all the stuff around the panels we get to do, but the actual paint the bumper, paint the bonnet, paint the fender, blend the door, whatever paint work needs to be done on the vehicles currently right now is a massive backlog. What do you think about Renault Clio, Intense, 23 and Polo? What's the best choice to make? Benny, both are cool cars, man. Is this the Benny I know? IT Benny. Let me just check your profile picture. No, it's not the same Benny. Okay. Benny that I know is probably about 50 kgs heavier than you. You're a normal size man. The Benny I know is a bit thick. He's a bit strong. So Benny, what do you think about the Renault Clio Intense 23 model and Polo? What's the best choice to make? I love the Clio, man. You'll probably pay more on insurance on the Polo. The price should be similar. The Clio has more tech, less insurance, but less resale value. That's my answer to you. But I like both cars. It's a pity Renault isn't as popular in South Africa as it is in Europe. Cool. That's it, Els. We're going to call it a night. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for